What healthcare workers told me when no one else was listening. I didn't become a whistleblower because I wanted to be. I became one because too many people were whispering truths they were forbidden to say out loud. Over the course of my own medical visits, emergency room, blood work, fetal monitoring, diagnostics, I spoke with nurses across different hospitals, different shifts, and different departments. I didn't go looking for these conversations. They happened naturally, quietly, in hallways and small rooms where no one else was listening. And the things they told me still stay with me. The nurse who admitted she saw it too. One nurse lowered her voice and said, "I don't know why they won't acknowledge it." She wasn't confused. She wasn't naive. She was heartbroken, torn between the truth she saw and the silence she was forced to keep. The nurse who could no longer look. Another nurse told me something I'll never forget. When they come in to give those shots, I just have to look away. She wasn't allowed to refuse. She wasn't allowed to question. She wasn't allowed to step back. So she did the only thing she could do to protect her conscience. She turned her face away so she wouldn't have to watch. That's not indifference. That's moral injury. The nurse who told me to keep going. One day, a nurse looked right at me. No hesitation, no whispering, and said, "Keep speaking out." "We can't." "You can." There was truth in her voice. There was exhaustion. There was relief. Like she had been waiting for someone to carry the burden she couldn't safely carry herself. The nurse who walked onto the COVID floor, another nurse, who no longer works in healthcare, told me she once accidentally walked onto the hospital's designated COVID floor. She expected chaos. She expected full rooms. She expected what the public was being shown on TV. Instead, she found a nearly empty, quiet, inactive unit. She wasn't supposed to see that. And she knew it. She left healthcare not long after. The doctor whose child paid the price for honesty. There was even one doctor, calm, professional, soft-spoken, who told me her own child, also a doctor, was fired for standing up for patients. For advocating, for refusing to betray his conscience. She told me this quietly, like sharing a scar she still felt. And that's when I realized the truth. The people closest to the evidence are the people most silenced. The nurses across the system who nodded quietly. Across every hospital visit, almost 90% of the nurses I spoke with gave the same kind of acknowledgement. A look. A sigh. A soft yes. A quiet, "You're not wrong." A whispered, "I can't say anything." These weren't conspiracy theorists. These weren't troublemakers. These were experienced healthcare workers with good hearts. People who saw more than anyone on the outside will ever understand. And to all of them, I said the same thing. Every time a nurse told me something they weren't supposed to say, I looked at them and said, "I know you can't speak out. I'll speak out for you." Not because I was fearless, but because I couldn't look into the eyes of the residents I loved, or the nurses who trusted me, and stay silent. Asterisk. Silence protects the system. Speaking protects the truth. I became a whistleblower the day I chose conscience over fear. And I will always stand with the people who were silenced. The residents, the families, and the healthcare workers who saw everything but were allowed to say nothing.